What if we told you Elvis Presley's granddaughter owns Graceland, but Marilyn Monroe's fortune went to someone who never met her? From handwritten wills stuffed between couch cushions to Hollywood legends cutting their own kids out of million-dollar estates, these are the jaw-dropping inheritance twists you were never supposed to hear about. One star left $100 million to their dogs. Another forgot to update their will and nearly disinherited their own daughter. And in one brutal case, a son got everything, except the music rights. These aren't rumors, these are real documents, real court battles, and the shocking decisions behind the glittering masks of fame. So grab a seat, because what happened after the spotlight faded is more dramatic than any role they ever played. This is the untold truth of celebrity wills, secret heirs, and inheritances that tore families apart. Lisa Marie Presley's will shocked everyone, even her own mother. When Lisa Marie Presley passed away in January 2023, the headlines weren't just about the tragic loss of Elvis's only child. They were about a will that blindsided nearly everyone, especially her mother, Priscilla Presley. In a twist worthy of a Graceland drama, Priscilla discovered she'd been quietly removed as trustee of Lisa Marie's estate back in 2016, replaced by Lisa Marie's daughter, Riley Keough, and late son, Benjamin. The document's legitimacy was immediately challenged, triggering a high-profile legal standoff between Priscilla and Riley. At stake, control over a trust reportedly valued at $35 million, not to mention Graceland itself and Elvis's massive intellectual property rights. The case raised eyebrows for more than just family tension. It highlighted how Elvis's fortune, once whittled down to near zero by the 1980s, had been masterfully rebuilt by Lisa Marie and business manager Barry Siegel, turning Graceland into a revenue-generating machine. But Lisa Marie's own financial woes, including lawsuits and debts, made the situation murky. The legal dispute quietly settled in 2023, with Riley becoming the sole trustee, and Priscilla receiving a reported $1 million lump sum and an annual stipend to step aside. Riley, an acclaimed actress known for Daisy Jones and The Six, reportedly wants to preserve Graceland exactly as it was when her grandfather lived there, right down to the retro TV room. As for the will, it became a Presley family plot twist that would have fit right into a Southern Gothic miniseries. How Paris Jackson inherited and lost parts of Michael's empire. Paris Jackson was just 11 when her father, Michael Jackson, died in 2009, but her inheritance was the stuff of global fascination. Michael's will, last updated in 2002, placed everything into the Michael Jackson Family Trust, dividing his estate between his mother, Catherine Jackson, and his three children, Prince, Paris, and Blanket, now known as BG. The kids' shares were held in trust until they turned 30, with staggered access beginning at 21. Paris, now 27 in 2025, has partial access, but it's not as massive as fans assume. At the time of Michael's death, his estate was over $500 million in debt. Yet thanks to savvy posthumous deals, including the This Is It documentary, Cirque du Soleil's Michael Jackson won, and the $750 million sale of Sony ATV publishing rights, the estate rebounded spectacularly, reportedly topping $2 billion in value by the early 2020s. But here's the catch. Paris doesn't directly control that empire. The trust is managed by executors John Brinca and John McClain, and they faced repeated legal battles with the Jackson family, including a recent 2023 suit filed by BG over investments. Meanwhile, Paris has forged her own path, modeling, acting, and launching an indie music career with her band, The Soundflowers. She stated in interviews that she doesn't care about the money, preferring artistic integrity over inherited wealth. Still, parts of her future inheritance could be affected by ongoing disputes over taxes, royalties, and control. It's a complex legacy built by a king passed down in pieces. Kirk Douglas left nothing to his kids, and you'll never guess why. When Hollywood legend Kirk Douglas passed away in 2020 at the age of 103, many assumed his estimated $61 million fortune would go to his famous son, Michael Douglas. But the Spartacus star had a different legacy in mind. His will directed that almost all of his estate be donated to charity, specifically through the Douglas Foundation, a philanthropic organization he co-founded with his wife Anne decades earlier. The foundation supports causes such as education, healthcare, and social justice, and has funded everything from playgrounds in LA to scholarships for underprivileged students. So, Why did Kirk bypass his own children, including one of Hollywood's most bankable actors? It wasn't spite, it was philosophy. He believed in earned success and had long maintained that Michael didn't need the money. By the time of Kirk's passing, Michael had already amassed a personal fortune of over $300 million thanks to his hits like Wall Street, Basic Instinct, and Romancing the Stone. The family understood and respected the move. Michael even praised his father publicly, calling him a legend not only on screen but in giving back. A nerdy detail: one of Kirk's final donations went to refurbishing the Motion Picture and Television Fund's Alzheimer unit, where he often visited aging colleagues. This decision wasn't a dramatic snap, it was a masterclass in purposeful giving, quietly closing the curtain on a Hollywood life that never stopped performing, even off-screen. The Sinatra inheritance war, what Frank Jr. really got. Frank Sinatra was a man of impeccable timing, but when it came to his will, the drama didn't end with the final note. When Old Blue Eyes died in 1998 at age 82, his estate was reportedly worth between $200 to $600 million, thanks to a lifetime of touring, film royalties, and music rights. But instead of his only son, Frank Sinatra Jr., being the primary heir, the majority of the estate went to Sinatra's fourth wife, Barbara Marx Sinatra, whom he married in 1976 and stayed with until his death. This decision ignited years of quiet but bitter tension between Barbara and Sinatra's children from previous marriages. Frank Jr., himself a working musician and conductor, was left with only a modest trust, reportedly around $1 million, for some memorabilia. Nancy and Tina Sinatra, his daughters, received similar treatment. Barbara, on the other hand, inherited Sinatra's Beverly Hills mansion, a large portion of his music catalog revenue, and more than half of the estate's liquid assets. The real flashpoint: control over Sinatra's image and licensing rights, which Barbara initially wielded like a fortress. While Frank Jr. never publicly trashed the arrangement, insiders long believed he felt sidelined not just by the money, but by the stewardship of his father's legacy. Despite that, he continued to perform his father's classics on tour until his death in 2016, offering live tributes rather than filing lawsuits. The Sinatra estate, to this day, remains tightly managed, but the behind-the-scenes inheritance friction remains one of Hollywood's classiest cold wars. Who got Paul Walker's money? Inside the Fast and Furious wheel. When Paul Walker died suddenly in a 2013 car crash, the Fast and Furious franchise lost one of its brightest stars, and his 15-year-old daughter, Meadow Rain Walker, became the unexpected heir to his legacy. Walker had drawn up a will in 2001, long before his blockbuster fame peaked, but he clearly stated that 100% of his estate, reportedly valued around $25 million at the time of his death, was to go to Meadow. Notably, he left nothing to his longtime girlfriend, Jasmine Pelchard Gosnell, which caused quiet tension, but no legal battle. Walker's father, Paul Walker Sr., was named executor of the estate. At the same time, his mother, Cheryl Walker, filed for guardianship of Meadow shortly after her father's death, reportedly to ensure her well-being while dealing with the inheritance. That request stirred some public confusion, but was later withdrawn when Meadow remained in her mother's care. Over time, Meadow took complete control of her inheritance and, in a decisive move, founded the Paul Walker Foundation, which focuses on marine conservation and disaster relief, two causes her father was deeply passionate about. A lesser-known detail: Walker was an avid car collector with over 30 rare vehicles, including BMW M3s and Porsches, which were later auctioned off by his estate in 2020. Today, Meadow has carved her own path as a model and philanthropist, marrying actor Louis Thornton Allen in 2021. While she inherited millions, what